All right, guys, what's up? It's Fantasy Endgame. I'm Pierre. He's Chris. We're here to break down everything that just went down in Week 11 and maybe talk about what's yet to come. We still have a Sunday night game, which should be a pretty good one. We got the Chiefs, Chargers, and then, of course, we have 49ers and Arizona Monday night, which will be interesting. So there's a lot to talk about. I'm just going to go ahead and say this, Chris. I hate to start with negativity, but this is one of those weeks that just kind of makes you hate fantasy football. All right.
Absolutely. You got kickers going off, got defenses going off, got studs doing nothing, got Samaje Perine not just scoring 3 touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns. There's always one week like this every year where it's just makes you question why you play this game. This is that week, 100%.
I mean, I had Tyler Boyd as a boom, thought it was a good matchup. And last I checked, he didn't have a single catch. Not a single catch. Didn't know Samaje Perine was going to go off and be their, not their lead receiver. T. Higgins was going off. But yeah, all right. So a lot to get to. Before that, let's put this up. Give me one of our patrons. Kickers win. Best ball only. Look, I'm a fan of best ball. This is
big time fan of best ball.
All right. Would you say this is the worst fantasy week of the year?
Yeah, so far, yes. Hopefully it's the last one. But, it's funny because when we were doing our start-sit videos and things, and we were looking at the matchups, and we're trying to come up with our booms, we were both saying, this is a terrible week. This is going to be a terrible week for fantasy. There were so many bad matchups this week. I don't think we expected it to be this bad, but, yeah, man, terrible week.
Yeah, I like it that two of the receivers, I got Boyd and I had Dalton Schultz. I thought, Cowboys could put up points, and they did. Didn't know, again, that on both teams, their leading receiver would be a running back. You got Tony Pollard. Now, all of a sudden, he's catching passes. Okay. Okay, before we get to the comments, let me just go over a few things. I think we kind of have to start with the one that's definitely the most aggravating, and that's Amari Cooper, who you should have sat. That was good process, who has been terrible on the road, every road game this season, and going against a really good defense in a bad matchup. And he, of course, had his best game of the season. 8 catches, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns, just to rub it in. I mean, I know that we could just go on and on complaining about it, but do you think now Amari Cooper is just, you have to start him no matter what?
Yeah, I think we can put to bed that whole home road split thing. I think at this point, you just play Amari Cooper every week. Some weeks he's gonna go off, and some weeks he's not. But you just put him in your lineup and take whatever he gives you, pretty much. Yeah.
The worst thing is, last thing I promise, last complaint is the week before had a great matchup and did nothing. And then this week, of course, went ballistic. As did Jacoby Brissett, by the way. If you look at Jacoby Brissett's stats, going to be one of the leading scorers at quarterback, just so you know what this week was like. And then let's talk about the stud running backs who so many, all the stud running backs basically did nothing for you. Saquon Barkley against Detroit, nothing. Joe Mixon, nothing. Nick Chubb, nothing. And Dameon Pierce was less than nothing. He actually had I think less than 1 yard per carry. Are you worried about any of those guys? I know the panic video is going to come out soon, but are you worried just real quickly about any of those guys specifically?
No, none of them are going to be on the panic video. It's one game. It happens. Not panic. I mean, we're going to panic about Barkley, Chubb, Mixon, Dalvin Cook. We're just going to panic. Every stud running back. We're panicking. No, they're not making it on the video. And I think, did Najee just rip off a huge run?
Well, now that's the good. Look, we're still talking about the bad. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's not get positive yet. No, we will talk about Najee. But the one I might be worried about is Dameon Pierce, because he's had a couple of really bad games. And just the Houston offense, it's just so bad. It's I think teams now realize we don't have to even pretend to defend the pass. We can just stack up and try to stop Dameon Pierce. So I don't know, but no worries.
Dameon Pierce is on the panic video tonight because he's has not been, he's been good but not great, and there's definitely I think some reasons to be panicking about Dameon Pierce to some degree.
All right, So we'll save that for later if you guys watch the video. Now, on the good side, if you had Jamal Williams, you knew, well, he needs touchdowns to be productive. Well, he got you touchdowns. He got you 3 of them. Unlike Samaje Perine, you might have actually started Jamal Williams. Swift somehow managed to find the end zone despite getting, again, like 1 yard per carry and barely touching the ball. In fact, I want to say it was only 2. Did he have 2 carries? How many carries did he have?
Yeah, not very many. Swift definitely on the pan. You got to be panicked about Swift for sure. It wasn't even that, like, his usage. He was getting less work than Justin Jackson. Like, he looks like he's number 3 on this team. Like, you can't.
There's something going on. He isn't even listed on the injury report, and he's saying he's frustrated. There's something going on there that is not injury related. So who knows? With Swift, you got to worry. Yeah, he had 5 carries for 20 yards. Sorry, I undergo. But Jamal Williams, I mean, he keeps scoring. I guess you just got to keep starting him if he's going to do that. And then Najee looks like he was back to form. I know some people just don't want to believe it. But right now he's at 89 yards and a touchdown on the ground. But more encouragingly is that he's averaging 4.7 yards per carry against a top 10 run defense. Do you think Najee's back?
Yeah, I do. I'm like, where has this Najee been? This was the Najee we drafted, right? The volume monster. He's catching passes. Jaylen Warren obviously hurt his hamstring, so that's helped him in the passing game, I think. But yeah, like this is 2 weeks in a row. 99 yards last week. That's 2 games, almost 100 yards. Like he's ripping off big runs again. I think Najee is back, and his schedule gets way better. So,
well, you have to realize, okay, the foot injury, and he was wearing this like plate in his shoe. That was obviously bothering him. That's not an issue. And then the week after he took it out, he still wasn't great. But now they say they figured some things out. Jaylen Warren, not a factor. I'm encouraged. I guess the buy low window maybe is closed because your trade deadlines might be over. But yeah, Najee, I'm encouraged. Cautiously optimistic here.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to get to all your comments, as many as possible here. Just a quick reminder is that we're going to break things down for about a little less than an hour. We're going to try to prioritize if you have any start-sit questions that have to do with tonight's game or tomorrow night's game to help you out. That's why we get on here, try to help you win. We're also going to save as many of the trade questions as possible for Tuesday, although, again, a lot of you aren't able to trade anymore, but we're still going to do it because a lot of you are. And then we're going to take some victory laps if you want to. We're going to commiserate and cry into our pillows about how bad our running backs did this week. If you want to, that's okay. Yeah. Reminder also, we will get all the super chats up for sure, guaranteed. We'll get to those first because that's why it's there. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We go live 3 times a week, and patrons get a live show on Sunday morning, which we met with our patrons this morning. Hopefully they all got W's, but that's, if you want to know about that, patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. So speaking of, let's get to our first super chat.
Well, speaking of, really quick, touchdown number 2 for Najee.
Okay, tell me he's not back. Tell me he's not back.
He's definitely back.
Look, here's a good one. We have a couple. Najee is him. I can't disagree with that. KJ Najee is alive. He's more than alive.
He's back. It's probably too late for everybody who drafted him, but he's back at least.
Yeah, I know. Trade deadline. Hey. All right. So Cornelius Terry. We had some discussion about this in the Discord. What do you think? He makes history and you get no points for it because it was a special teams play. Do you feel like a guy like him, who's like a running back or wide receiver, should get points for returns? I mean, some leagues do that, but it's rare.
Yeah, but you should at least get the touchdown, right? Like, I think in pretty much every league you get the touchdown, don't you? No?
Not all leagues. No, because it wasn't an offensive play.
Yeah, but still, it's like, I mean, I guess, but I mean, I'm pretty sure in all my leagues he gets a touchdown.
Depends. Is that well, I gotta check now because I don't know. I don't have much Cordero Patterson, but on Sleeper, is that a standard thing?
Well, I don't know. Let's see on Yahoo. Yeah, on Yahoo we got the touchdown. Let's see on Sleeper. I feel like you should like the return yards, no, because that's something your league has to implement, like, right? Because that changes the game, because now you might draft guys who return punts, who return kicks, and don't really do anything else. So that I understand, but the touchdown, you should at least get the touchdown.
And that gets to a whole thing, and then you're counting special teams, and then that's kind of like a like a rabbit hole. I don't know if you want to go into like a recounting special teams. Anyways,
yeah, he got credit because he has 10.9 points in my sleeper league, and he only had 59 yards and 2 catches. So and he had a fumble, which takes off 2. So yeah, he should get the touchdown, just not the return yards.
All right, now. But brings up another question. It says we have to say he's at least a starter for next week. But Isaac's saying you take that kick return, which again doesn't count in terms of yardage, at least for a lot of leagues, and you're panicking because you kind of did nothing on the ground. So what do you think?
You got to be panicking about Card. I mean, look, congrats. He ran back a kickoff. I guess he can always do that. But he's done it how many times this year? I'm pretty sure it's once. one time. So probably not something you could bank on week to week. I mean, what did he have today? He had 10 carries for 52 yards, 2 catches for 7 yards, and this is against Chicago. Just Chicago. This was not like a shutdown run defense. Like, what are you going to do next week when he plays Washington, who just shut down Brian Robinson, or Pittsburgh, who's got TJ Watt back? Now I know Samaje Perine went off today, but they were receiving touchdowns. So I think you got to be a little worried about Patterson for sure. This is 2 weeks in a row now where it's like, I mean, yeah, he saved you with a special teams touchdown, but you can't bank on that.
Well, the problem is it's not even that he hasn't been good. It's just they're not using him enough, kind of like every skill player in Atlanta is not being used enough. And I think this is kind of just becoming a committee because Algier is still getting a few carries. Huntley is still there. Is going to get a couple carries himself, and it's not like a team is going to run a ton of plays because they're not so great on offense. So it's Falcons, man. It's like you can't trust them because you don't know what you're getting there. It should be better, but it's not him. It's just the system. So yeah, I'd be a little worried because he looks like another guy that without a touchdown, it's very risky.
Yeah, very risky.
All right, Ralphie. Obviously, we know about Saquon, what he did or didn't do, but how do you feel about him rest of the season? Is he still the RB1?
Yeah, I mean, look. Again, are we downgrading? Like, which stud running back had a good week? Derrick Henry, and that's pretty much because he scored a touchdown and threw a touchdown. Like, Derrick Henry was really bad. Like, right? What did he run for? Like 2 yards a carry or something? Like, are we gonna panic? Are we like knocking down Chubb? Are we knocking down Dalvin Cook? Like everybody, right? Are we knocking down everybody except Pollard? Like, is Pollard the RB1 now? Like, no, I think you still got to feel good about Saquon. Look, the Lions came into this game. I think they had gone from like the worst run defense to like the 10th or 11th worst run defense. Their run defense has actually been getting better. Now, we certainly expected more from Saquon. I'll tell you there's 2 things that are really frustrating me for Saquon. Number 1, Daniel Jones vultured a touchdown, and then they gave Matt Breida a goal line carry, and he scored. Like, that could have been 2 touchdowns for Saquon, but also he had like 6 or 7 targets. And I'm watching like the stream, not the actual like the game, but like the play-by-play stream on Yahoo, and I'm I'm just seeing D Jones incomplete pass to S Barkley, and I'm like, how hard is it to dump it off to Saquon Barkley? I think Daniel Jones was good in fantasy, but he was real life awful today, like horrendously bad against a terrible Lions defense. Like, I'm like, you can't even dump the ball off to a running back accurately. So I'm not worried about Saquon now.
Yeah, it's true. Well, a lot of things happened in that game. First of all, like you said, Daniel Jones, 27 to 44, 2 interceptions. This is again against the Lions, which is statistically maybe the worst defense in the league. So real life bad, put up fancy numbers, but a lot of that too, what really happened, it kind of worked against Barkley was game script. And that's what happens. Even the best running back in the league, Detroit, against this Giants defense, which have been pretty good, Detroit put up 31 points.
Yeah.
They were losing. They had to pass the ball 44 times with Daniel Jones. And that, of course, didn't help. And, give it credit to the Lions. They had a good game plan. Let's make Daniel Jones pass. Let's shut down the running game. Kind of like what happened with Houston. They figured out, hey, Houston can't really pass the ball very well. Let's just shut down Dameon Pierce. It worked. So And then the goal line stuff, there's a lot of things. It's one of those days. But look, if you're going to use that logic to be down on somebody, it would be Mixon because you got to, oh no, Samaje Perine, he's the guy now. He scored 3 times. No, like it's fine. It's just 1 week. All right. And then, Cowboys next week. Doesn't matter. So don't worry about Saquon.
Look, Cowboys run defense. Yeah, Cowboys run defense hasn't even been good. Like Dalvin Cook actually had a good game against them.
Yeah.
As far as like when he got the ball. He just didn't get the ball because they got blown out. But yeah.
They definitely did. Talk about real life bad. I think the team definitely got exposed today. But
yeah.
Thoughts on Olave and Sanders? Olave did have a big game out of nowhere.
It's so funny. Like if you guys are in our Discord, it's like halftime and people are like, Olave is unstartable now. You cannot even start Olave anymore. What was I thinking? And then he catches a 50-yard touchdown and they're like, so is Olave like we just have to have him in our lineups every single week now? Like now he's an every week lock. It's like guys, find the middle. Find the middle here. You don't always have to be in extremes, find the middle. Olave is still what he is to me, right? Like, yeah, okay. He could hit on a 50-yard touchdown like he did today, or he cannot like the last 3 weeks. The last 3 weeks, not one. So he's still like he is to me. Like he's still a good start based on who you have, but he's not like a must start.
Yeah, I mean, obviously his day was made from that one long touchdown, which he can do. He can do that. It wasn't a good matchup on paper with the Rams defense, but he had a good game and that happened. So, yeah, you still have to like Olave, but he's like a lot of these receivers. He's going to have his ups. He's going to have his downs. So I don't know. He's asking sell high on Olave. Do you sell high? No.
I mean, again, I'll always sell high on somebody if I'm actually selling high. Meaning I'm getting a running back who's better or a wide receiver who's better or a stud tight end or something. So, yes, always try to sell high, but you have to actually sell high. Like, don't trade Olave for Samaje Perine. You know what I mean? Because he just had a huge game. Or
we'll do that.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And then Kyle. Okay, so here's an important one for tonight/tomorrow. Pacheco or Mitchell?
Gotta go Pacheco. Like, look, this is the week of the random running backs. We got Tony Pollard, Samaje Perine, Najee Harris, Jamal Williams, David Montgomery, Devin Singletary, Zeke, Latavius Murray. This is the week of the random running backs. Pacheco's probably going to go for like 40 tonight. The way this week is gone.
I hope so. There's one thing we'll hit on. Hopefully it would be that. A lot of people asked about Pacheco and Tony. At least one of them go off, please, to just like vindicate us. Okay. Definitely Pacheco. And then Jason, what's up, Jason? Down 10. Have Hopkins, Kittle, and Butker. Opponent has no one.
You're good. Look,
if you lose that, then you're gonna have you're gonna.
It's week 11. This is like the Bizarro week. I don't want to be too confident here, but you should win. You
don't win that. You have 3 players. One of them is a stud receiver. One of them is a stud tight end and a kicker. The kicker alone should be able to get you 10. Yeah. If you lose this one, then you just, you have to blame the fantasy gods. All right, Joe. What's up, Joe? Didn't even look. I'm glad we talked you out of it. Joe was this morning on the Patreon, and he was talking about who can I get for Devontae Adams? Who can I get? No, and the answer was affirmed nobody. Don't trade Devontae Adams, and this is why. Even as mediocre as Derek Carr can be, all of his passes went to Devontae Adams, or at least all the yardage.
Exactly. Yeah.
You don't trade your studs. Look, Chris. Chances are that somebody out there is going to panic about Justin Jefferson after this week.
Oh, for sure. People in the Discord were like talking about his turf toe or something. I'm like, he looked fine in the first quarter, first half or whatever. Like, it didn't look like the turf toe was bothering him at all. I think the game, like you said, the game got away from him. Kirk was under pressure. And then they didn't even play the starters, like, I think, like the entire fourth quarter, or maybe even late in the third quarter. So, yeah.
They were riding as high as you can get after last week. They used up a lot of their mojo and just didn't have it this week. This is what you call a letdown game.
Yeah.
Right. After everything that went into last week, they had nothing left. I think that's as simple as that. All right. Marcos Cardozo from Brazil. All right. Awesome. Very nice. 9-2 guaranteed.
Nice.
Okay, so obviously trade deadline still open for him. Try trade for an RB. You have Etienne, Swift, Jeff Wilson, Pacheco. Got Diggs, Waddle, Olave, Devontae, and Pickens, who actually had a decent game too.
Yeah, I think this is like a good time to trade high on Olave. Like with Smith, and Pickens' schedule gets really, really easy after next week. So if he's going to be getting involved like this, and this offense is going to actually look like a real NFL offense, and Najee Harris is going to actually be able to run the ball, I think this is a great time to sell high on Olave and try to get a running back. The problem is, what running back are you going to trade for? Like, I don't know. Like, who are you going to trade for? Maybe Dalvin Cook? But has been good prior to this week. Maybe Alvin Kamara, but is that even a sell high? I don't even know if that's a sell high right now. Like, I don't even know. Like, the running back is so bad right now. So bad.
Yeah, but I do think you have to do something. You cannot at this point count on Swift as a starting running back for you because he's really, I mean, touchdown or bust, but it's not like, oh, I'll get you 50 yards and a touchdown. No, he's getting 20 yards. 20 yards. And last week it was like 6 yards. Like he's not even being used. There's something going on there. But yeah, now I'm full blown just.
Maybe Chubb. You know, Chubb might be a good buy low right now because, I mean, last week he only had 15 and he kind of saved his day with that long touchdown. This week didn't do anything. The offenses look bad. They're playing a negative game script. Chubb might be a decent buy low for Olave right now.
And I wish I could say Najee was a buy low, but probably. I mean, but look, maybe his owner's still skeptical. Maybe people are like, "Oh, I'm selling high on him." So, I mean,
yeah, true.
Which, by the way, Bus has introduced himself to the chat. I think he's happy.
That's not a visual I needed.
I'm guessing that means he's happy. That's the one.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question about tonight. I know I mentioned Justin Watson, and that kind of opened the floodgate for a ton of unanticipated Justin Watson questions, but here we go. Would you play Justin Watson instead of Debo?
No, and especially if you're looking for a safe floor play, that Justin Watson is not the safe floor play. Definitely playing Debo over Justin Watson.
Yeah, I would not call Justin Watson a safe floor play like at all.
No.
Like desperate flex, kind of streaming type over Debo. No, there's no way. So just because I say like I'm down on Debo and I'm interested in Justin Watson, these are at two different levels, right? Very different levels. Okay. All right. Well, okay. I'll have to answer. Ralphie dropped a super chat earlier. This is a rest of season question. This is interesting though. I think Christian Kirk or Olave rest of season.
These guys are very similar to me. Like I would, if I was ranking, I'd probably have them very close. They're both kind of like good starts most week with potential upside. Very close for me with these two. Very close.
Similar type of guys. Exactly. I mean, number one in their respective passing game. Both have average quarterbacks, not like super exciting passing game. They're going to be boom bust all the way through. I can't think offhand like who has the better schedule. I haven't looked at those two guys specifically. I'd say
pretty sure Olave does. I know Kirk has a couple tough matchups in the fantasy playoffs.
Okay, so that would be where you use it kind of as a tiebreaker if you're stuck between the two. I think without knowing the schedule, I think I might lean Kirk slightly, just because kind of less competition for targets. Landry's back for whatever that means. Kamara is there. John Johnson's kind of coming on. I mean, I mentioned him. He scored again.
Yeah.
Which is good if you did stream him. But, yeah, maybe a slight edge to Kirk, but it's pretty close. Okay, and then here's an important one, too. Late decision, Rondale Moore or Mike Williams down 4 points?
Definitely Mike Williams for me. Just so much more upside. I mean, you're down 4 points. They have McCaffrey and Connor. Okay, so it's certainly not over yet because McCaffrey and Eckler, that could go either way. Connor could always do some, 2 touchdown, 40 yards and 2 touchdown type of game. So I got to go Mike Williams. It's a great matchup. Chiefs secondary, nothing to be worried about. He's playing. He's in. I'm going Mike Williams.
Yeah, I think Rondell's fine to play because, obviously Marquise Brown not there, Ertz not there, but Williams is so much more upside. You got to figure he could at least match Rondell more. Yeah, so I think you have to go Mike Williams as well. Not too worried about him. And then here's the ultimate question. Andrew Hahn, what do you do if you have all three of these Chargers receivers? And someone asked earlier in Discord, like between Allen and Palmer. I mean, I think we agree Mike Williams is clearly the number one guy here, but what do you do between Allen and Palmer?
I mean, I think you have to like Allen more than Palmer. I mean, there's always a risk with Allen that he's not 100%, that maybe he plays limited snaps, but still, like, I don't know. I think you have to like Allen more than Palmer.
Well, what I kind of said was, you figure if they're playing Allen, obviously he's good enough to play, even if it's 30 snaps. That's decent. That's enough to make a contribution. They wouldn't put him out there unless they were planning to actually use him, like throw him the ball. And so you don't need to be out there on the field 90% of the time to be targeted. It's about targets. It's not just about snaps, right? There's some guys who are out there 90% of the time and get targeted twice because they're good blockers or whatever. But Allen is riskier because who knows if he's really 100%? Who knows if he comes up lame at some point during the game? I feel like Palmer is kind of the floor play between the two.
Yeah.
But again, it's almost a toss-up. That's kind of a non-answer, but it's really close. They might wind up. My expectations, they wind up with pretty similar stat lines. But Allen does have more upside, but he's also a little riskier. All right, Thrive threw a super chat our way. I'm gonna see if I see the question down below. Which, by the way, guys, if you just joined us, we are going to try to answer start-sit questions if we see them. But of course, if you use the super chat, we're definitely going to get to those first.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find Thrive. Might have been up at the top. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. So I'm going to go on the next one while you look for that. Cinco, Pacheco, or Allen. Just talked about Keenan Allen. Do you go with Pacheco because you feel he's safer?
Yeah, I'd go with Pacheco. It's such a good matchup for Pacheco. You don't have to worry about, like Keenan limping off or something, re-aggravating the hamstring. I'm going Pacheco.
Yeah, I go Pacheco too. So, again, not predicting a 200-yard game or 3 touchdowns, just saying he's in a good spot. He's getting the touches. I'll go with him. Allen is still risky. I've been saying it all week, even though he's playing, and we know he is on a pitch count. He is a risky play. Has upside, but still, with Mike Williams back, I don't expect him to get 10 targets.
Yeah, I don't see anything from Thrive. Thrive,
now this one is Thrive. Yeah, Thrive. If you have a question, go throw it our way again. Maybe we missed it, or maybe it just didn't get attached. I think this is pretty easy here. Pacheco or Eckler?
I mean, you got to roll with Pacheco. It's just such a good. No, I'm just kidding. Come on, Eckler all day.
You don't think twice or even once about Eckler. You start him.
Yeah.
Are we worried about Fields? Actually, this is interesting. Worried about Fields. He had a shoulder injury. They said they kind of carted him off to check it, but what are we hearing?
Yeah, I don't. So I'm just gonna figure. I'm looking kind of dark on there. No, I'm not too worried about Fields. It didn't sound serious. Yeah, not too worried about Fields. A little more worried about his matchups going ahead than him.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. And so I will be dropping the waiver wire video that goes out tomorrow. So gonna dig into it, see if we can get more information on Fields before breaking down all the injuries that matter this. So we'll see. I don't think it sounded like anything too serious.
Yeah.
Again, I don't really know. Am I playing Michael Williams or Kadarius Toney? Kizo be easy.
Well, okay, I'll say this. I have this exact decision in one league. I'm playing Mike Williams. But I also played Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and Saquon Barkley. So maybe my team is just cursed this week and you want to just play Kadarius Toney. I don't know, but to me it's just such a smash spot. The last time Mike Williams played the Chiefs, he had 25 points. He had like 100 yards and a touchdown or something. Like, it's such a smash spot for him. I know Tony, no Juju, no Hardman, but still, there's no guarantee Tony's going to get a bunch of targets and a bunch of catches. Like, Mike Williams is going to be the number one receiver for Justin Herbert against the Chiefs. I got to go Mike Williams.
And he's never going to be the number one receiver in that offense because Travis Kelce is really the number one receiver in that offense. And they spread the ball around. I mean, Tony, yes, has upside. That's why we kind of like him as a flex. Mike Williams is pretty much a wide receiver too. I mean, if healthy. Obviously, he's playing. He's healthy. What about this one's a little closer? God's 9/11. Pacheco or Ayuk?
This one is closer. I mean, Ayuk is safer because we know his role. He's been getting targets. He's been getting yards. But I think Pacheco has more upside this week in this matchup. So for me, I would probably go with Pacheco, but I get it if you want to go Ayuk because you don't have to worry about like, oh, look, it's CEH getting all the run for some reason this week, right? You don't have to worry about that with Ayuk. So I like Pacheco more, but I get it if you want to go Ayuk.
Not knowing, I mean, look, if this happens to be a non-PPR league, you definitely go Pacheco. If it's half PPR, go Pacheco. If it's full PPR, that's when it gets a little tougher because, you know, Pacheco, if he doesn't score a touchdown, not necessarily expecting a 100-yard game from him, then you could definitely say Ayuk outscoring him. So I would say then I would consider at this point, where are you at? Are you behind? Are you ahead? You know, if you're comfortable and you're ahead, I go Ayuk as a little bit safer, but you need to catch up. Go for the big game. Go for Pacheco. Only if it's full PPR. If it's half or non, just go Pacheco. Griffin Stewart, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate that. So start Fournette or Pirine next week with Mixon possibly missing. Did Mixon get banged up? I don't think he did.
He got a concussion. So the thing with concussions is like you never know.
Yeah, I mean,
he might play, he might not play. Like probably, like I think most of the time guys miss the next game, but then they're back. So, I mean, I don't know between who does. Who do the Bengals play next week?
It's a fair question because of Fournette, obviously.
Well, okay. I'm just telling you right now, I'm not playing Pirine. They play the Titans. That run defense is legit. We saw what they did to Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, what they've done to everybody this year. I'd rather gamble on Fournette, I think, than play Pirine against the Titans.
And Fournette's got a decent matchup against the Browns. So, you know, Fournette,
much better matchup.
Even if it's like what it was last week, splitting time with Sherrod White, he's still splitting time. He's still getting carries. He's still getting receptions, which is important. And he still has touchdown upside. So I would still go with Fournette. Pirine might be a good pickup because of that, but let's not go crazy because of the 3-touchdown game. It was just one of those weird things. Is Jeff Wilson a top 15 running back rest of the season?
He might be right around there, like just because who are the top 15 running backs? You know what I mean? Like it's not like we're just so deep at the running back position right now. It's like, you know what I mean?
True.
So I mean, he might be, but it's kind of like you're splitting hairs when you get to that point. Like top 15, top 20, top 25, they're all almost kind of like the same guy, right? So yeah.
I wouldn't put him in the top 15. I'd say somewhere between 15 and 20. So again, close. You know, is there a big difference between him and whoever is 15? No, I think he's pretty solid. All right. Well, guy who I think has to be top 15 now, even with Zeke back, is Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard won you your week, 9-2. Here we come. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, he looks great. I mean, they have to just keep giving him the ball more. Like they have to. Like the Cowboys are trying to win. They have to keep giving him the ball more. He's just so much better than Zeke. Like, look, Zeke is still good. Like around the goal line. You know, you need 2 yards to pick up the first down. Yeah, Zeke can still do that. But Zeke's not going to rip off, 30-yard, 50-yard touchdown runs anymore. He's just not. So, yeah, I think if you have Pollard, you're feeling good right now for sure.
Feeling really good. I mean, we talked about him a little bit yesterday during the Start Sit show. He's kind of going to be that RB2, low end RB2. You can't put him higher as long as Zeke is there because, as you see, Zeke will get goal line carries and get touches, but Pollard has just so much upside. You also can't sit him, really.
Yeah.
And then Sabesan, once again, thank you. And I like you figured out how to attach the question to the super chat.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, so I think this is a fair question. CEH not valuable. Like, just drop completely? Do we ignore him?
I mean, at least wait and see how it is tonight. But if it's another game like last week where he barely plays and doesn't touch the ball, I mean, yeah, why? What are you holding on to him for? Like, it wasn't like he was tearing it up, before Pacheco took over. Like, what is he going to do if Pacheco gets hurt? It's probably going to be what we saw before, just with McKinnon mixed in more. So, yeah, I don't wait and see tonight at least. Maybe, you never know. Maybe all of a sudden tonight, CEH gets 15 carries and Pacheco gets none, and everybody's like, what just happened? Because it's just how week 11's been. But at least, if it's like last week, yeah, CEH has no value anymore.
I'm not holding CEH, but again, as you know, I have never drafted CEH ever. And so not even in best ball. So I'm not worried about it. Yeah, I don't think you have to hold him at all unless something crazy happens. Now, he could be considered a handcuff if Pacheco does go down, but even so, you're just going to get what you got at the beginning of the season, which is nothing great. All right, let's get to some of these start sick questions that are coming in now. Here's, of course, this is only fitting that we have this, Tony or Pacheco.
If it's PPR, I'd probably go Tony.
Yeah.
If it's half or standard, I'll go Pacheco.
I'll go Tony unless it's a standard league, and then you go Pacheco. All right,
Yeah,
what about
this
week 2?
Honestly,
Hopkins, Mike Williams, and Tony.
Gotta go Hopkins. Can't bench, especially now with they announced today that Hollywood Brown will not be activated. No reason to sit Hopkins. No reason at all.
And then Williams would probably be the second one, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, well, I'm going Williams, but look, I said it again. You guys can either take it for what it's worth, but again, I started Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Saquon Barkley combined for like 20 points. I am playing Mike Williams over Kadarius Toney. So maybe you want to go Kadarius Toney this week. I don't know.
We don't know. And that's just a good reminder that it doesn't really matter always how good your team is or how good the matchup is. Like, just stuff happens. You don't know. So take your best educated guess. This one, I think we can clearly say Keenan Allen over MVS.
Yeah, I'm not gambling on MVS. If he hits a home run, oh well.
Yeah, not gonna worry about MVS. Palmer or Watson?
Well, boy, this is close.
Kind of
It's
close.
like, do you want the guy who can at least get you like 4 to 5 points, but might only get you 4 to 5 points? Or do you want the guy who might get 0, but maybe could get double digits if he scores a touchdown or hits like a long play? Like, that's kind of what this is, right? Like, I just don't see, like, maybe Palmer can get to like 10, but I don't really see him like having a big game, right? With both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen healthy. So
he didn't really have big games, even when those guys were out. I mean, the best he did was against the Atlanta Falcons. That's because the Atlanta Falcons were the worst pass defense there is. And even then, it wasn't like a monster game. I mean, Palmer's just not that ceiling kind of guy. So I would say if you're losing and you need a bigger play, then I go Watson. Otherwise, Palmer. Here's this one. This hurts me. J-Mac sat Jamal Williams for Garrett Wilson. Well, okay. Have Pollard, Olave, and Eckler though. Okay, well that's good.
You'll probably still be okay. I mean, if it makes you feel better, I played Jamal in one league, so then my other league where I had Jamal, I sat him for D'Onta Foreman. Yeah,
D'Onta Foreman. You should have known not to trust anybody associated with a Baker Mayfield offense. Should have known.
No, brutal.
Is it possible he could kill the passing game and the running game on his own team. Is that possible?
It looks like it is. It looks like it is. Yeah.
Let's hope PJ Walker's a fast healer. Trigger Trey, what do you think about David Montgomery going forward now? Well, okay, look, let's not put Trevor Siemian in at
Siemian at quarterback. With Justin Fields already out for the season. Did I miss something?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if Justin Fields were to miss time, you got to love Montgomery getting a ton of touches with Herbert and Fields out. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Don't go out and start throwing trade offers for David Montgomery. Although he did look good today, even with Fields playing, right? He had some good numbers.
Yeah, 17 for 67, 3 catches for 54. So he did a lot, and he did have a rushing touchdown. I kind of feel like he's, with no Khalil Herbert, I guess I feel a little bit better about him, but he's kind of like that mid-range RB2 with some upside for me.
He's kind of like where I'd put Jeff Wilson. He's kind of lurking there, like not quite top 15, but kind of close. And I wouldn't bump him up that much. If Justin Fields is out, it's not like that's going to be a better offense. But yeah, I mean, I like Montgomery. I think he's solid. And then Dylan Bennett losing by 20, and he has Kelsey. So I guess you're picking one. You got Williams, D-Hop, Moore.
Well, it's D-Hop. D-Hop, you got to start D-Hop. Got to start D-Hop, especially with no Hollywood again. Like, there's no risk of like, ooh, will his target share go down now? It's like, nah, no Hollywood. D-Hop confidently.
It's definitely one of the first two. I like Hopkins because even though that Niners defense is tough, but tougher against the run than the pass, still got some injuries in the secondary. They've given up some games to wide receivers. And Hopkins is going to get targeted a ton. Williams,
yeah.
Again, feel confident about Williams. We've said this, but more confident in Hopkins, All right, so let's gotta love this when your kicker gives you the W, Maher.
Yeah, hate kicker league so much, but I'll say this. So woke up this morning, needed a kicker in that same league where I have Jefferson, CD, and Barkley, and it was Dicker the kicker or Maher, and I was gonna pick up Maher, and then I read the little thing that said he'd only attempted like 1 field goal in the last 3 games. I'm like, I can't pick up that guy. The Cowboys just keep scoring touchdowns, and of course my opponent has Tyler Bass, and I would have actually matched my opponent there. Now I'm gonna, it's like, kicker league, just yeah.
Kickers, gotta love them. Shrek 2 on DVD, in case you didn't know.
Okay.
Look, if you're gonna put that as your name, you can't just go with the orange S. You have to have the avatar. You have to have something that's Shrek related there. Okay, up by 33. Opponent has Mahomes, Herbert, and Butker.
Is this a super flex league? He's got Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Because it's not Khalil Herbert, right? So
I hope it's not Khalil Herbert. He's on IR. So,
well, I mean, for Shrek's sake, that'd be good. But if it's Justin Herbert and Mahomes and Butker, you're probably in trouble.
Fairly screwed, I'd say.
Yeah.
But you never know. You never know. Crazy things happen.
Yeah, it's like week 11.
All right. So Andrew Hahn has a trade question. Sent Williams, going to assume Mike, and Wilson, going to assume, well, I don't know, because now you're talking about Devontae Adams and Etienne. So I don't know if that's Jeff Wilson or Garrett Wilson. I guess Jeff. Looking at Williams rest of the season, took a gamble on easy matchups. How do you do?
I mean, I got to assume it's Mike Williams if you're saying his easy matchups, because Jeff Wilson does not have easy matchups. So I'm going to say, I mean, if you got Adams and Etienne, you did great.
Did great if that's the case.
I don't care what Wilson it is. I don't care what Williams it is. Mike Williams, Jeff Wilson, it doesn't matter. You did great if you got Adams and Etienne.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if someone gave you those two guys for any Williams or any Wilson. I mean, yeah, Adams and Etienne, 2 studs. So if you got those 2 guys, you did great.
Yeah.
Fair question. Foreman and Kenyon Drake droppable.
I mean, Drake might be droppable if Gus Edwards comes back next week. I don't know if Foreman's droppable, but he's certainly like a guy you're probably only going to want to start in really good matchups because, again, Baker Mayfield, my goodness. It's like Baker Mayfield's never going to start in the NFL again after this year, right? Like, never. No chance. Like, Maybe he'll be maybe he'll latch on as a
not.
backup somewhere, but there's no way an NFL team is going to start Baker Mayfield ever again after this. Like, no way.
Never say never. You would be surprised. But anyways, teams get desperate. Look, how did Baker Mayfield wind up starting this year? Even I mean, Sam Darnold. I don't know. Is Damian Harris going to hurt Stevenson going forward?
Definitely. I mean,
Kinda.
definitely. Like the good news for Stevenson is he's catching like a ton of passes. That's keeping him afloat. But I mean, if you look at it, because I was looking at this, it was Stevenson was still, I guess, technically the lead. But when you look at it here, between these two guys, it was 15-8 Stevenson. But then Stevenson had 6 catches. But Harris looked really good. Harris had 8 carries for 65 yards. Stevenson only 15 for 26. And remember, Harris hasn't played in a while. So, I mean, I do think he's going to hurt his value to some extent. But with the way Stevenson's been used in the passing game, I think Stevenson will still be okay.
He's another one I kind of forgot. These stud running backs who did nothing. But he didn't do nothing because he caught passes. And this is a new thing because – well, I guess they don't have anybody who really can replace James White. Those rookies they drafted just haven't panned out for whatever reason. Stevenson wasn't a big pass-catching running back coming out of college, but I guess they made him into one. So, anyways. Let's see. Kyle needs D-Hop to get him 30 tomorrow. Is that possible?
I mean, of course it's possible, but it's on the higher end of possible, right? It's like
not likely.
He'd have to have like multiple touchdowns. Like, yeah.
I wouldn't hold your breath, but hopefully for
mean,
your sake he does. But you still go D-Hop over Tony, of course.
Yes, definitely. I can't bench D-Hop.
Is Pollard a weekly lock? We kind of talked about that already.
Yeah, I think now we have to look at him as like a weekly lock, like a weekly RB2. Even with Zeke out there, it doesn't matter because he's way better and doesn't need tons of volume. So, yeah.
And if he's going to be catching passes all of a sudden like he was, which is what they said he was going to do in the beginning of the season, and it didn't happen at all. Now, all of a sudden, he caught a bunch of passes when, oddly enough, they really didn't need him to. But, yeah, I can't say must start every week because it depends what else you have, but strong start, definitely. All right, Lander, Rodriguez, Salvador. Would you trade Swift or Pierce for Aaron Jones?
I mean, I would definitely trade Swift for Aaron Jones right now. Like, what are we expecting from Swift?
Yep.
I mean, Pierce and Aaron Jones are closer for me. I still think Pierce will be okay. Like everybody's allowed to have a bad game, right? So, remember there was like a 4-game stretch there where people were like terrified with Aaron Jones, where he was doing like nothing for 4 straight weeks. So, I mean, Swift definitely. Pierce, yeah, I probably trade Pierce for Aaron Jones, but it's really close. That one's close.
I would trade Swift for Aaron Jones. Yeah, for sure. Pierce, it's close. You might like Jones a little better because he is pass catching back a little bit more so than Pierce. So, yeah, if you can trade Swift for him, I definitely would do that. No. Joseph Knight, should I put faith in Allen Robinson?
No, and here's another thing. Matt Stafford got concussed again. Now we're talking about 2 concussions in like basically a week and a half. This is a guy who could miss multiple games now because, the second concussion, a lot of times you have to be more careful with that. So we might be looking at Bryce Pickens because Wolford didn't even was out today. Like we're looking at Wolford or Bryce Pickens starting maybe possibly the next couple of weeks. Like no way. No way am I touching this Rams offense. None of it. No way.
No way. None. Nobody. None. The thing is, Stafford, like you said, 2 concussions back-to-back weeks, but also this is a team that lost to New Orleans. Like we already know Cooper Kupp's not coming back, and now they're 3-7. Why would they even put him out there? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Matt Stafford rest of the season. If it's one of those things like, oh, he's just having all these symptoms, and nothing to do with this Rams offense. Nothing. Okay, a couple more, by the way. Got a few more minutes till the game kicks off. If you have any more start-sit questions for tonight's game, of course, we'll get to those right now. Last chance, or tomorrow night's game. It's the same question here. Vlad Sanchez, Tony or Rondale?
I'm going Tony. I mean, yeah, Rondale's safer, but Tony has so much more upside tonight. I'm going Tony. I'm shooting for the upside. I mean, unless you're like winning and you just need some safe points, then you can go Rondale. But yeah, give me Tony.
Going Tony as well. Don't mind Rondale this week, but I'm going Tony. Okay, well, answer this question. It's interesting. What about Akers? Because he did actually look better this week, and maybe they just run the ball because they can't pass the ball. He had 14 carries, 61 yards. But no.
Okay, I mean, Kyron Williams played the most snaps. Like, yeah, no, I'm just avoiding this Rams offense completely. No.
Yeah. Darrell Henderson just shouldn't even be on any rosters at this point. Well, Minion Lover.
Yeah.
Who should I start because Gerald Everett is out? Is that, well, you got like 2 minutes to decide who's out there. That's the thing. We don't know who your options
Trey
are.
McKitty, Trey McBride. Those are like your only, what's his name? What's the guy for the Chargers?
Yeah, McKitty is the backup. But
those are like your only choices.
Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are back. So Trey McKitty not going to get you much. Trey McBride would be the guy that you could stream maybe.
Yeah, I don't think Kittle or Kelsey are out there. So it's Trey McBride.
This is a fitting way. This is so fitting for this week. Lost to a person that doesn't sit in their lineup and is 10 years old.
That is fantasy football right there, right? Like any given week, any craziness can happen. Yeah. Man.
Kind of talked about this earlier. Is Najee startable rest of the season? Definitely.
Yeah, I'm not going to say he's like an RB1, must start, lock him in, but he's one of those guys. Yeah, like RB2, start him. Yeah, definitely.
And then Caleb losing by 20. Still have Herbert and Connor. They have Pacheco and Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I mean,
you're rooting against the Chiefs hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're losing by 20, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to wind up being close. Should I be looking to trade Dameon Pierce?
For what? Like, what's somebody going to give you for Dameon Pierce right now? Like, what's his value? It wasn't like he was tearing it up. He was good, but he wasn't great. And now he just had a horrible game. Like, yeah, what are you going to get for him? I don't know.
No, it's not a guy I would just sell on. He's still going to get the volume. He's still a good running back. I wouldn't worry too much about Pierce. I'm not looking to trade him because of this week. Also here, should I worry about Dalton Schultz?
No, that was a great, like, they had 4 touchdowns from running backs. Tony Pollard ripping off big runs. They barely threw the ball. Like, no, that's just game script. That was game script.
Okay, well, here's an interesting one. Wandale had himself a game and then got hurt again, I think.
Yeah, and another crazy thing. Like, we didn't expect the Giants to throw the ball 44 times against the Lions, like be getting blown out. Like, yeah.
Right. That's the thing, guys. You got to think, how's that game going to go? You have a team that was, 7-3, going against the Lions, who have the worst defense in the league. They shouldn't have been losing by double-digit points. They shouldn't have thrown the ball 44 times. When's the last time Daniel Jones threw the ball that much? I don't even know. I'd have to go back and look. But, like, did you really think that the game would go that way? Of course not.
No.
So it's just the way it happened. And, of course, he was able to be successful because it was the Lions. So, again, don't get too crazy about Wandale. I don't mind. I like Wandale as a player, but again, it's all about how is he going to be used. You can't expect huge target share every week. And it's like the Mari Cooper thing. I know some people are really tilted about that. Guess what? So am I, because I fully bought into the thing. I mean, it was true. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
it wasn't true. It was true. He sucked on the road every game, and he was taking a backseat. It didn't happen this week. Last week, he should have gone off against Miami's defense. He didn't. This week, he should have done very little against Buffalo's defense. That's just not the way it happened. Nick Chubb did nothing. That's just the way it is. Okay, I think the game has started. Someone's saying, Big Dog Pound. What's up, Big Dog Pound? Pacheco with a huge run. That's music to our ears.
Yeah, 28-yard run. Not a touchdown, but it's okay. It's a good start.
All right. So, guys, we will be back on Tuesday night to answer your questions for waiver wire pickups and trades. And a lot of you obviously still, the trade deadline hasn't passed. If you're in Dynasty League, there is no trade deadline, maybe. So we'll be back Tuesday night. Don't forget the Panic video is going to drop after tonight's game. Waiver wire goes out tomorrow. And, of course, we'll have you covered with start sit and everything else as usual. All right. Enjoy the games and good luck in the rest of week 11.
See you guys.